Hello everyone, it's me Clayton. I just saw Space Jam: A New Legacy. And if the first Space Jam movie was basically the most 1996 movie ever made, this is probably going to be the most 2021 film ever made. And that, like the original, it is such a product of the time that it was made in that it's actually kind of fascinating. Let's get to the story, shall we? The story here has LeBron James basically not really doing a very good job at the fatherhood thing when it comes to his son Dominic, who's not interested in basketball and wants to make video games instead. He's even made one when he's at the age of 12. But when LeBron James happens to anger the algorithm at Warner Brothers, known as Rhythm, played by Don Cheadle, he decides he's had enough of constantly being rejected, and he steals away LeBron's son Dominic, and it says the only way he'll be able to win him back is to beat him at a basketball game. So LeBron James has to get the help of the Looney Tunes, as Rhythm has the Goon Squad on his side instead of the Monstars. So, yeah. The story here is about as crazy and about as all over the place as it was for the first Space Jam, but it's done with a few key twists that help set this movie apart from the original. In that this is basically the biggest attempt at a cinematic universe for Warner Brothers that I've seen since the DC Extended Universe. And it has a bunch of Warner Brothers properties, from DC superheroes to Game of Thrones to Harry Potter to The Matrix to basically anything that they can get their hands on. And honestly, those jokes actually come across as pretty darn funny, especially in an extended sequence where we see Lola Bunny and Themyscira, or Daffy Duck trying to be Superman. It's definitely kind of gimmicky, but the first Space Jam was pretty gimmicky too. So I think that's something that we should really expect from these movies. Plus, they even tease a Michael Jordan return for this film, only for it to be Michael B. Jordan, as in, you know, Killmonger from Black Panther. So I felt jokes like that, where it really leans into the meta-ness of the entire thing, really do happen to work out in this movie's favor. On top of that, I think the Looney Tunes are about as on point as they were in the original Space Jam. And you'll definitely be disappointed when you see that Lola Bunny is definitely more the strong female character role and not so much the eye candy she was in 1996, for people who are into that, of course. I don't think too much of it, but I know the internet will freak out when they see this movie, because they always do. But I really do think that the person having the most fun in this movie is Don Cheadle as Rhythm. It's just fun seeing War Machine being allowed to have fun in a villainous role like this, and especially when it comes to near the end of the film, you can tell he's putting his all into this role just because it's fun to do this kind of villainous role when you have the powers that Rhythm has, and when it comes to how over the top he can get. And you could say the same for the various NBA players that make up the Goon Squad, though surprisingly the one that looks the least interested in this film is LeBron himself. I do think his acting's a little better than Michael Jordan's was in the first Space Jam, but that's not saying much. And honestly, I think he was better in some of his other films, and yes, when he's actually playing NBA, than when he is in this movie. Not saying he did a terrible job, I just didn't think he'd be as stiff, is what I'm trying to say. But, as a whole, Space Jam: A New Legacy is definitely not a great film by any real stretch of the imagination, but it's probably going to delight every little kid who sees it, and I think that's the point of Space Jam as a whole. That's why I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. See you next time.